The Chiefs and NFL schedules for 2020 are out, and if the season begins on time, what a start for the defending Super Bowl champions. 3 division champs in the first 4 games, with 2 on the road for Kansas City. Beat writer Herbie Teope breaks down the schedule on SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Monday, May 11th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. After a break, we'll hear from punter Tommy Townsend. It's not always we post chatter from an undrafted free agent punter, but Townsend has a big task ahead of him. He's the leader to replace Dustin Colquitt, the Chiefs punter for the previous 15 seasons. We'll hear what Townsend has to say about following in Colquitt's footsteps. But first, here's Herbie Teope on the 2020 Chiefs schedule. Herbie, the release of the NFL schedule happened on Thursday, and that is such an occasion now in the NFL. It's done in prime time on NFL Network, and it's become quite the show. I can remember, I'm old enough to remember when the schedule came out via a release by the team. You know, that's how you got it. I mean, maybe this in the pre-email days, you know, you basically sent out a release, and that's how you found out who your NFL team that you're covering is playing. But now, such a big production. And it's silly in one respect in that we knew who the Chiefs were playing. We even knew who the home teams were and the road teams were. We just didn't know the order and which games would be prime time. So I guess the first question is, was there anything that surprised you about the order of the games and which games ended up in prime time and which ones did not?
I don't think anything really surprised me. The Chiefs right now, they're one of 8 teams with 5 primetime games, the most in the league, but that's expected. They're the Super Bowl champions. So that didn't surprise me at all. The only thing that really jumped out to me when I first got my hands on that schedule was their opening schedule, their first month. 3 of the first 4 teams are against playoff teams. So, I mean, if you, from last year at least, if you want to test exactly how good you are, why not line up the best competition? We're talking about the Houston Texans for the season opener. They get a break in week 2 against the Chargers where they travel out to L.A., but then they turn right around and travel back on the road to face the Baltimore Ravens, where a lot of prognosticators, analysts, and even us, when we look at the teams in the AFC, we think the Ravens are one of the teams that really built themselves during this offseason to go after the Chiefs. So that's a stout test. And then, of course, to close out the first quarter of the season, they got the Patriots at home without Tom Brady. So, I mean, that's a pretty good schedule there if you want to see where you are in the grand scheme of things when you're facing 3 of the 4 teams that made the playoffs last year. The good news is, as we all know, the Chiefs beat them all last year. They lost the Texans in the regular season, but they trounced them in the playoffs. And the Ravens and the Patriots, they beat them as well. Yeah,
you dismissed the Chargers game. I think the Chargers are going to end up being the second best team in the AFC West. So that I don't think that's a gimme at all. It's on the road, although we don't know exactly where. It's supposed to be the first Chargers game, I believe, in SoFi Stadium, the new stadium out there. There's some talk about that not being completed, but you're right. Texans, Chargers, Ravens, Patriots. To open the schedule, not only are they playoff teams, the Texans, Ravens, and Patriots, they were all division winners. So the Chiefs get those 3 division winners. You know, in the way the schedule formula works, first place teams play first place teams the next year. The Chiefs get their first place teams out of the way by week 4. So not that the schedule gets significantly easier, but it does change for the Chiefs. If you apply last year's records to the strength of schedule, the Chiefs are I think I saw where they're tied for the 18th toughest schedule in the NFL. This is based on the collective win-loss records from 2019. The teams that the Chiefs play were a collective 500. The easiest schedule, I thought this was interesting, the easiest schedule in the NFL based on 2019 record was the Baltimore Ravens. And so why is that? Well, it's because their NFC crossover division this year is the NFC East. And so those teams, the Eagles were the only one over 500, I think, last year. Everybody was either 9-7, 8-8 or way below 500. So the Ravens got the easiest schedule and the most difficult schedule based on 2019 record, the Patriots. And the Patriots have that because their crossover division in the NFC is the NFC West, which, of course, 49ers, Seahawks, Rams, tough teams for the Patriots. So
yeah, and the Cardinals, they're going to be good this year.
Yep, no doubt. I totally agree with that. Cardinals are one of my picks to surprise and to turn it around. I really am pretty high on the Cardinals. If Cliff Kingsbury, you can easy for me to say, if he's a good enough coach, I think they've got a chance to turn things around in the desert. So. Okay, you mentioned the primetime games. That's the opener against the Texans on Thursday night. The Ravens game, I thought this was interesting. It's the only Monday night appearance right now for the Chiefs in Week 3 against the Ravens. I think some Chiefs fans would ask, why only one Monday night football game for the Super Bowl champions when there are two Sunday nights and two Thursday night games, but only one Monday night game? Why? Monday, at least in most of my life, was the night you wanted to play. What's changed about that?
Booger McFarland? I don't know.
It just seems like Sunday nights, that's where the better matchups have been over the last few years.
And I tend to agree with that. And I think it's because it's easy to flex games out for Sunday night football, and I think that's probably why. But you are right. Over the last couple of years, you've seen a shift of mentality where Monday night was the premier game, but all of a sudden now Sunday night games are really taking off. And I think I don't know why that is, but it has happened.
Yeah, and so but the Chiefs Ravens, to me, that's the preseason game of the year. But the two AFC favorites knocking heads in Week 3, and that is ESPN Monday night primetime game. So one thing that surprised me a little bit, Herbie, was Week 15, Chiefs at the New Orleans Saints, 3:30 or 3:25 kickoff on CBS. That was not selected for a primetime game. I was surprised to see that.
Well, here we go with the wonderful flex thing. I think if this game is setting up the way we think it should, and then this, and everyone who knows me knows this. I've picked the Chiefs and the Saints in the Super Bowl for 2 straight years. I'm going back into the well, and I'm going on record right now. I think it's going to happen this year. The 3rd year is the charm. Chiefs versus the Saints in the Super Bowl. But this game, it has the capability to be flexed. Whether that happens, it remains to be seen. Whether we have a season remains to be seen. But I think that's a game that a lot of people are thinking that's a Super Bowl preview. Right. You've got Andy Reid versus Sean Payton. Tyrann Mathieu returns home to New Orleans and leads the defense against Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Alvin Kamara. So many side stories in this thing. 2 of the best right tackles in the National Football League and perennial All-Pros, Mitchell Schwartz and Ryan Ramczyk. Granted, they're not going to be on the field at the same time, but if you like offensive line play, you get to watch 2 of the best. There's so many storylines going into that game, and that if the season sets up the way it should, and these 2 are on a collision course, that's a game to watch.
Yeah, not to mention, the quarterback that has the NFL record in career yards passing, in Drew Brees, his first match against Patrick Mahomes. So I think that alone will give that game so much appeal, and maybe CBS will keep that game at all costs. That is a marquee game, and you're right. That who knows how the season is going to unfold, but the way it looks right now, that is absolutely a potential Super Bowl matchup. The other one that's kind of interesting to me is the Chiefs against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucs in Week 12. Get to see Brady again. Where Mahomes hasn't met up against Drew Brees and the Saints. This will be, I count them, I think the 4th matchup between the Patriots and the Chiefs with Mahomes. Not the Patriots, but Mahomes against Tom Brady, including the playoff, the AFC Championship game in 2018. They played in the regular season that year, played in the regular season last year with the Chiefs winning in New England, and then now the Chiefs go to Tampa Bay. And of course, Tampa Bay is even in this COVID world, they've sold a ton of tickets because of the trade that brought Tom Brady down, and then of course acquiring Rob Gronkowski. And they were talking about being the first team to play a home game or play a Super Bowl in their home stadium, because that's where the Super Bowl is going to be in January or February of 2021. So that game also will have a lot of appeal. And again, that one's 325 on CBS right now. I don't know if I see that one flexing out because the week before and the week after, the Chiefs play night games on Sunday, primetime games. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think you're right on that. But, the thing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you mentioned Tom Brady, and I think this schedule for them, at least, is all about the Brady effect because the Buccaneers also have 5 primetime games. And when you think of the Bucs, you certainly don't think primetime, but Brady changes a lot there. And this is a totally different Buccaneers teams from the ones that I covered when I was down there in the NFC South because Brady – Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I mean, he's got some fantastic weapons on the outside there, and he certainly didn't have those kinds of wide receivers in New England. So that matchup also is something to put on the radar because I think that's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, it's just for who knows when fans, if fans will be in, if assuming that there's a season, but for Chiefs fans. The rotation works out that they play at the Bucs and at the Saints with the Panthers and Falcons coming to Kansas City. You kind of wish it was flipped this year. I remember in 2016 when the Bucs and the Saints came to Arrowhead and Drew Brees, the Chiefs beat Drew Brees. I believe you were at that game covering the Saints for your first trip back to Arrowhead when you left Kansas City and were covering the Saints at that time. So. Alex Smith beat Drew Brees in that game. So, hey, here's something else that really struck me. I don't know if it's significant, but I know the Chiefs are the only team in the NFL with this little peculiarity on the schedule. Listen to this. All of their away games are in clusters. So away, they have 4 sets of away, right? So it starts with Chargers, Ravens in weeks 2 and 3, Bills, Broncos in weeks 6 and 7, Raiders, Bucks 11 and 12, and then Dolphins, Saints in 14 and 15. I don't know if that's significant or not. It's just rare or unusual in that 31 other teams don't have that. At least the Chiefs don't have a spot on their schedule where they're home, away. It's always in clusters. And but the Chiefs do end the season with 2 home games. And I know Andy Reid loves that. He absolutely loves having teams come to Arrowhead in December, especially if they're from warm weather climates. And look who's coming to Kansas City in weeks 16 and 17, the Atlanta Falcons and the LA Chargers. Am I reading it?
And a team that plays out in sunny California.
Right. Am I reading anything into that though? The fact that their away games are in clusters, is that an inherent disadvantage or I don't. Let me ask you this. Let me put it this way, Herbie. How much input do teams have in their scheduling, and where games are played? I know there were some factors like Oakland always had to work around baseball, the A's, and some teams have had to work around college football, like the LA Coliseum, the home stadium for USC. So, Do teams have really kind of any influence on where they play games?
No, because this is some top secret formula that the league likes to use. They lock guys into a schedule room and let the chips fall where they may. And I think it worked out well for them. And the reason I'm going to say that is simply this: Andy Reid loves setting a routine. When you've got back-to-back road games, back-to-back home games, he's the kind of guy that can focus in on that. It's like, this is what we're going to do to prepare for this. Whereas opposed to road game, home, home, away, home. You can set into a nice little rhythm here when you know your road games are always going to be back-to-back and then you're home for 2 more games. I think it works out perfect for them.
And heck, the Chiefs were 7-1 on the road last year. They had a better road record than home record. So it doesn't seem to matter where the Chiefs play. So, hey, and the other thing that is interesting about the schedule for the entire NFL this year is there are a handful of teams from either coast, right? From East Coast teams going west and West Coast teams going east that did request playing, both away games if they had teams in the same time zone, playing those back to back, so those teams wouldn't have to travel back. Make 2 trips to the opposite coast. So you'll see the Chargers playing 2 games in a row in the East and not coming back to LA. And you'll see, I forgot the other, maybe I saw the Patriots. Yes, the Patriots they play the two, I think the 2 LA teams, or the Patriots stay out in the West for a Sunday game and then a Thursday night game. So I found that to be interesting. The Chiefs don't have to worry about that being in the middle of the country. Look, their first away game's at LA, their second away game a week later is at Baltimore. It's not a travel inconvenience for the Chiefs to have that kind of schedule. They did it last year, right? They opened it at Jacksonville, and week 2 they were in Oakland, and they ended up winning both of those games. So there is a little advantage, I guess, to being in the Midwest.
Absolutely. One thing that we haven't talked about here, and I don't know if it was on your script or not, but the game that I'm really looking forward to, and you're gonna think I'm crazy about this, Week 6 against Buffalo. They're going to travel up to Buffalo to play the Bills. I think the Bills are going to be surprising a lot of people this year. So that's
Thursday night game.
Game.
Ooh, so you like that one? You like Chiefs Bills? 2 good young quarterbacks.
Buffalo. I just like that game.
Well, that obviously Fox did too, and the NFL did too, to put that on Thursday night at 7:20, and it just shows it's the Bills have been a playoff team 2 of the last 3 years now, and I think they've if it's not going to be the Patriots in the AFC East, it's going to be the Buffalo Bills, and that is absolutely I think a team that you would have on your playoff radar going into this season are the Buffalo Bills. So how would you look? We've talked about just about every opponent here. What is does it go without saying that the game against the Saints would be the best quarterback matchup, or the Saints or the Bucs with Brees and Brady, 2 first ballot Hall of Famers, or Lamar Jackson? Which one of the quarterback matchups are you looking forward to the most?
Drew Brees versus Patrick Mahomes. That's the one I'm looking forward to the most. If you remember in 2018, the year that Patrick Mahomes won the league's MVP, he overtook Drew Brees because throughout the first half of the season, Brees was the runaway for the MVP. I just want to see that game because I've covered both quarterbacks, and I just want to watch that at the Superdome, and that's a popcorn type game. Just sit back and just enjoy yourself. We've seen Mahomes versus Brady. We've already seen Lamar Jackson against Mahomes. And, I think a lot of the young guys will love that game because the way Jackson plays the game. But I want to see Mahomes versus Brees.
Yeah, it's one that we haven't seen because you're right. We've seen Mahomes versus Deshaun Watson. We've seen him versus Derek Carr. We haven't seen him versus Josh Allen. That'll be interesting. The Bills game that you mentioned earlier. So, and we've seen Mahomes against Drew Lock, and look, maybe by week 14, if not in week 1, the Dolphins will be playing Tua easy for me. We'll just say Tua, and and that'll who knows, and maybe Justin Herbert's the Chargers quarterback by the end of the year. You just don't know. Well, we don't see the Bengals on the schedule, so no matchup between Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. So, all right, Herbie. Hey, it was great catching up with you, and we will do it again next week.
Okay.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners: unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening. This question and answer session with rookie punter Tommy Townsend was recorded last Wednesday, May 6th. Early on, he refers to Johnny, that's Johnny Townsend, who preceded his brother at Florida and has been on the NFL roster for the past 2 seasons.
Hey, Tommy, congratulations and welcome to Kansas City. How you doing?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm doing great. I couldn't be more excited to have the chance to play for such an amazing organization. defending Super Bowl champs. So I'm fired up and I'm ready to get to work.
Yeah, and the question I have is, after the draft was over, my understanding is you had a lot of offers to go to potentially other teams. What was it about the Chiefs that made you ignore the other offers and you deciding to sign here?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd been hearing amazing things, about the Chiefs, the coaching staffs, and just the culture that the Chiefs organization brings forward. So it was always, something, in the back of my mind that told me the Chiefs would be a really good spot for me. And, it played out that way.
Let's go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Tommy, welcome to Kansas City. I was wondering whether there were any punters in your family history, whether it's your dad or grandpa or uncles, cousins, whatever. And if not, how did you and Johnny kind of get into punting? And Brad, I'll have a quick follow-up when I'm done.
Yeah, no, there were really no other punters in our family. So it all kind of started off Johnny's junior year of high school, and his team needed a punter. So he went out there and he tried out and he got the spot. And one of my dad's friends, he actually punted for FSU back in the day. And so we got a couple lessons with him, and Johnny went and got a couple lessons with him. And then, as he started going through the recruiting process, he started picking up some offers, and I kind of decided, you know what, like I can do this too. Why can't I do it? So I kind of followed in his footsteps, and yeah, here we are. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, looking back, as a kid, I can't say that I ever would have thought that, I'd be, a punter in the place I am now. So it's kind of cool how, everything worked out.
Now, you were at Knoxville for what, just 1 year, right?
Just 1 year. Yes, sir. My freshman.
I was wondering, did you come across Dustin Colquitt at all in your year there? And if not, or even if so, what do you know about him? What were your thoughts about him and what he's done in his career?
Yes. So I actually met Britton when I was at Tennessee. He came out and got some work in with us. But I've of course I've always heard stuff about Dustin. I mean, he's a legend in not just the punting industry, but for the Chiefs and throughout the NFL. So just to get the opportunity to get to work with him and learn from him is just hard to pass up.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
I just had a quick follow-up to the Colquitt thing, and then one other thing. With Dustin, when the team has been with him for 15 years and does decide to move on when you're aboard, just what did that mean to you as far as their confidence in you?
It definitely meant a lot. Like you said, they've been with Dustin for a really long time. He's a guy that has done everything the right. The biggest thing for me is I'm just trying to make a name for myself and become my own person. So that's what I'm really excited for.
Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Tommy, thanks for doing this. My question is, understanding that the team is going to look for new punters, how much conversation have you had with Harrison Bucker, the kicker, and James I can't think of his name right now. Winchester, the long snapper for the team. Those guys have been on the team for multiple years. Obviously, they've had success with Dustin. Just how much have you tried to communicate with them to get some level of chemistry sort of in this virtual period?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I've spoken to them, a lot. I think that's a really big thing is, having them get comfortable with me. And so that's kind of one of my main goals is to really, get comfortable with Harrison and James and, have a really good, smooth, efficient operation.
Let's go to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, two quick questions for you. First is just, what have been your conversations so far with Dave Tobe, and as far as getting to meet him virtually and what you kind of learned about what his expectations are? And then secondly, just how much experience do you have holding in the past, and what do you think it's going to take to get you up to speed there?
Yeah, so answering the first question, we've spoken a bunch, but we just finished, the virtual rookie minicamp, and we went over schemes and stuff like that. So, I've gotten a little bit of a taste for, what we're doing in Kansas City. And we've also gotten, I've gotten a chance to, watch all the film from, the past few seasons. And, that's kind of something that I've been pushing for and working on, is to, get a feeling and understanding of, the schemes that we're using here in Kansas City, and just trying to learn that. Sorry. Oh, and the second question was about the holding. Yeah. So I've been holding since high school. It's something that, I'm fairly confident in. I've, like I said, I've been a holder since high school. And then I also held the 2 seasons that I played at Florida. And we did pretty well there. So, yeah, I'm just excited. Like I said a minute ago, I'm just really excited to get to work with Harrison and James and try and make, that operation as efficient as possible.
Okay, let's go to Roberts. Roberts, go ahead.
Hey, Tommy, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. Robert Remsen, Fox 4. So you kind of spoke to it a little bit earlier with the Colquitt thing, but replacing a guy like that, it's got to be a lot of pressure. Have you ever had to try and do anything like that, replace a guy that has, like, so much success? And if so, and if not, how are you going to plan on handling that kind of pressure?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I did that, at Florida. I'm not sure if you know, but my brother, he led the the country in punting average, for 2 seasons before coming out, and he was a legend at Florida. So I had to come in and step into his shoes and just perform and do really well. So I mean, I think I did a decent job, stepping in and filling his shoes, but yeah, like I said, I'm the chance to, step in after a guy like Dustin. He's an absolute legend. So it's, it's exciting to have the chance to try and live up to, a standard that he's set. So that's something that doesn't scare me. It excites me. To me, it's an opportunity to, to try and, do what he's done.
Go to Mick Schaefer. Go ahead, Mick.
Hey, Tommy, I wonder what has your brother told you about life in the NFL? I know he's bounced around to a couple teams already, and life's it's kind of a journeyman's life as a punter in the NFL. What kind of words of wisdom has he passed on to you?
Yeah, it's just kind of, just keep your nose down and work hard, and what's meant to be will be, and the rest will follow itself. So so that's kind of my plan going into this, is just do what I've been doing, my whole career, is just put my nose down and work, and just, try and be the best player I can be, and, develop as much as I can.
Looks like we've got a couple more, Tommy, so we're going to go Pete Sweeney first, and then BJ, you can close us out. Go ahead, Pete.
In watching some of your film, it seems like you are really willing to run fakes. One against Vanderbilt in particular comes to mind, where you get fired up, kind of look like a running back. Where did that willingness come from? And has there been any talk already with Dave Tobe about they're willing to do some of that stuff here in Kansas City?
So we haven't had that discussion yet. But I don't know. I've always had, a little bit of fire, as a football player. Growing up, I played running back, and then in high school I played corner and safety. So, I've always been, pretty aggressive, and, that's one thing that I think I have in my mind, an advantage is I think I'm a little bit more aggressive than, the typical punter. And I come at, punting with a different mindset.
That will do it for today. Thanks to our production staff of Derek Donovan, Savannah Smith, Randy Mason, Beth Welsh, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. Cap tip goes to Herbie Teope for hanging out and talking about the Chiefs' 2020 schedule. Links to the stories we discussed can be found in the show notes. Hey, earlier in the episode, you heard me talk about the Sports Pass offer. It still stands, and it's a good one, $30 for a year's worth of sports coverage. Here's an even better offer. Buy the entire Kansas City Star product. Sports, news, features, commentary, and analysis, the whole bit. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, and the details can be found at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. That is account.kansascity.com/subscribe. Hey, there's something else. Maybe you already subscribe and you want to help more. You can help us there also. For the past 2 months, no one's covered or told the story of the Kansas City area during the pandemic like the Kansas City Star. And there is a place to simply make a tax-deductible contribution to the Star that will help us continue to report on the coronavirus and how it's impacting our communities. To donate, give to givebutter.com/Kansas City Star. That's givebutter, GIVEBUTTER.com/Kansas City Star. All help is greatly appreciated, and whether it's the Sports Pass, the full subscription, or a donation, you're helping us with our news coverage and helping us deliver products like SportsBeat KC, which will be back on Tuesday. Thank you very much for listening.